Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a topic that totally challenges everything society tells us about popularity. Today, we're exploring why walking alone might actually be a sign of advanced emotional intelligence, rather than a signal that you're somehow broken. We're going to break down 5 specific personality traits of people who don't have friends or, just choose not to run with a crowd. And we'll uncover why rolling solo might actually mean you're way ahead of the game.
Because let's face it, we live in a world that constantly celebrates followers, social media likes, and popularity. It naturally leads us to wonder, right? If someone has a non-existent social circle, are they somehow flawed? Is there something inherently wrong with them? Or do they possess some amazing qualities that the rest of the world just doesn't get? It is incredibly easy to look at someone walking alone and just assume they're broken. Well, we're going to completely flip that script today. We're contrasting the exhausting, performative chase for societal belonging with the unshakable power of choosing solitude. What the source material reveals is that these individuals are often the absolute most self-aware and emotionally intelligent people in the room. They don't just happen to lack friends. They actively choose to walk alone. It's a choice made not from a place of lacking something, but because they're fundamentally built differently. So let's get into section 1, the stigma of solitude, and look at why they walk alone.
The very first trait is being internally validated. This means these individuals absolutely do not chase belonging. To them, life is not a high school popularity contest. They've completely outgrown performative friendships, and they simply refuse to contort themselves just to fit into a mold so others will accept them. They know exactly who they are, and they fiercely value their own authenticity way more than external applause.
This quote brilliantly captures their mindset. They'd rather feel whole alone than half themselves with others. If a highly internally validated person chooses to hang out with someone, it's a very conscious choice. It is literally never an act of desperation or loneliness. They choose to be with someone because they genuinely want to, firmly rooting their relationships in alignment and truth. Moving right along to section 2, craving depth and authenticity. Notice the sharp contrast between these two mindsets. These folks are not antisocial by any means. They're just fiercely anti-surface level. Honestly, who isn't exhausted by small talk about the weather or fake weekend plans, right? They heavily prefer to sit with a profound, challenging question rather than endorse shallow noise. They crave absolute depth in their relationships, not just a bunch of empty chatter to pass the time.
Solitude actually fills their cup, whether that's journaling in the morning, taking long solo walks, or actively listening to others way more than they speak. These aren't just hobbies. They're the required quiet spaces that foster intense personal growth. By retreating into solitude, they gather the energy and clarity needed to cultivate truly deep relationships when they do finally choose to connect.
This brings us to section 3, fierce boundaries and intuition. Our third trait focuses on strong boundaries. Let's be real for a second. Losing friends isn't always a sad event or some big tragedy. Often, it's a massive victory or true boundary win. These are people who've willingly walked away from drama, negativity, and surface-level weekend partying. They would much rather disappoint others than betray themselves by settling for dead energy. They proactively detox from draining, toxic people because they understand this really simple but powerful truth: you simply cannot heal in the same place that broke you. So they make the difficult but totally necessary choice to prioritize their own personal peace over winning a meaningless popularity contest. And that leads perfectly into trait number 4. They are hyper-intuitive. They read energy better than anyone else. They can walk into a room and instantly feel the fake smiles, the unsaid resentments, and people just pretending to be someone they're not. Because they feel everything so intensely, they aren't being paranoid or standoffish. They're just expertly protecting their energy from the negativity that others simply can't see. They've learned that being alone is infinitely more healing than being surrounded by toxic energy.
Now, on to section 4, evolving faster than others. Sometimes you don't lose friends because they're toxic. You lose them because you are transforming. This timeline perfectly captures that journey. They're moving rapidly through identity shifts, deep emotional healing, and establishing rigorous new standards. Leaving your old environments behind is just a completely natural part of this transformation. Not everybody's equipped to keep up with this rapid pace of growth, right? And as you elevate your standards, it's just inevitable that some people are going to be left behind. But outgrowing people to get closer to who you really are is entirely okay. This powerful quote completely validates that protective mindset.
You're not hard to love, you're just hard to manipulate. When you refuse to be manipulated, yeah, your circle naturally gets smaller, but the quality of your own life gets infinitely better. Let's pull it all together in Section 5, the empowering truth of the self-sovereign. Take a look at this checklist. If you roll solo, this list proves you possess rare, highly evolved emotional traits. You're internally validated, a deep thinker, you maintain strong boundaries, you're hyper-intuitive, and you're evolving faster than your old environments can handle. If this is you, you absolutely aren't falling behind. You are putting yourself miles ahead of the game. Walking alone absolutely does not mean you're doomed to be isolated forever. Not at all. It simply means you refuse to waste your valuable presence on environments and people that do not honor it. You're preserving your energy for spaces where you can genuinely thrive and just be your authentic self. So, I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder today. When you find yourself walking alone, is it truly a loss of friends, or is it actually the ultimate, beautiful introduction to your authentic self? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep honoring your own path.